Hi everybody and welcome to episode 3 of the Optics Warehouse podcast. I'm your host James and today I'm joined by one of my sales colleagues, Mr. Adrian Pearce. Adrian, thank you very much for coming on today.
You're welcome, no problem.
So Adrian has been a man of the trade for a substantial amount of time now, and today we're just going to learn a bit about what he thinks has maybe changed over the past decade or so. I mean, he's flicked between shooting and fishing and shooting. I mean, over the best part of nearly 2 decades now. So hopefully, if anyone knows anything about what's happened in the trade, then it is going to be this man here. So thank you very much for coming on today, mate.
No worries.
So obviously you've been with optics for quite a few years now. Obviously since when JP started up, for God knows how long ago he started up now. I can't remember.
Many years, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, let's start with Optics Warehouse themselves. I mean, how have you seen it evolve over the few years since you started?
Exponentially. I mean, when I first joined, you got to remember, I think there was 4 or 5 of us. So you had Lisa, Sean, JP, and Rob Foster, and then I come in. So we had pretty much the 5 of us, and it really was, the epitome of a family firm. And you look where we've gone in 6 years to the buildings we have, the size turnover, the physical amount of staff.
Yeah.
Absolutely, exploded out of all expectation for me anyway.
Yeah.
But the nice thing is, as I say, when I come here, because it was that family firm, what we've always tried to maintain is that family firm feel still.
Yeah.
A lot of firms tend to lose that. They get to a certain size, you just become another member of staff. Not at Optics Warehouse. We treat everyone as either friends, related, family, which is nice. So everyone pretty much already knows everyone, and it makes for a good working atmosphere. No,
fair enough. No, so you make a good point. As I say, obviously I got into optics myself through obviously knowing various people in the company and whatnot. So yeah, it is right. It certainly is that. Excuse me. That sort of that friendly family atmosphere, and it is quite a nice. Does make it quite a nice place to work. I mean, so obviously, as I say, you've been in other places in the trade beforehand. I mean, as I say, what is it now? How long have you been in doing various bits? And
25 years. I think I was mid-20s. Personally, all started off really. I used to do a lot of fishing, got into what was then the sportsman fishing, which was separate from the sportsman guns. That then transpired into working with the sportsman as in the gun side, with Gary. Then in and out we had our own fishing side to the business. But I was still always around the gun environment and what was going on, being part of the same firm. Quite a few years.
No, excellent stuff. Obviously, so you mentioned the fishing side. You are still quite a keen fisherman yourself, aren't you? So obviously
not so much nowadays, but that was predominantly my forte and how I got into this side of the business. With regard to shooting, I occasionally got invites to go out with people, glamping, bit of rabbiting, whatever. I've not really had the time or land for my own firearms. I own air rifles. Obviously, the nice thing about the air rifle side is you've still got the same legalities of where you go. But of course, it's a lot less, a lot easier. To keep at home, and I can pick up my air rifle and go out. Big gardens where you've got permission and it's safe to do so. The air rifle for me. On the hunting side, I wasn't so much interested in the target side of things, but for the hunting, the rabbits and pigeons, who doesn't like that? I think there's, the freedom it offers you to walk around, fresh air, exercise. And obviously a lot of people benefit from the prey itself, in actually, rather than like any shooting discipline, using what you shoot as well, cooking it, whatever. So
No, fair enough. As I say, it's interesting to see why different people do get into, for different reasons, why you get into the trade. I mean, obviously, from a personal point of view, as soon as I left school, became a gamekeeper and then went on from there, so to speak.
I guess it was similar to me. It's because of the fishing. I spent most weekends spending vast amounts of money in the fishing shop, the same as you would spend a lot of weekends spending vast amount of money in the gun shop.
Exactly.
Invariably, you get drawn into that atmosphere and end up working there. So it's a similar situation.
Yeah, exactly. It's to say, obviously, very, very similar to myself. Obviously, we started like in terms of gun side, more the shotgun based sort of things. Obviously, I say with sportsmen, it's obviously quite a fast place there. But as I say, so obviously moving on to optics itself. And say obviously the company has moved on quite substantially, as you say, over the past 5-6 years or so. I mean, in terms of the technology, yes, I can speak maybe from the night vision thermal side, yes, it's improved vastly. But I mean, from the day optics, the quality, I mean, there seems to be certainly a broader range of optics out there now.
There is. I think that's the same with a lot of trades. What you seem to have not lost, but back 15, 20 years ago, it was what I'd call your established close school brands, i.e. Leupold, Minox, Biopta. And a good optic doesn't stop becoming a good optic.
No.
But I think, like everybody nowadays, all these fresh firms have come in, the likes of Athlon, Citron, Element, to name but a few, plenty of others. And the old school brands, I think, optically are fantastic, but either in terms of what they offer, sometimes in magnification or specifications. Some people may argue otherwise, but they don't seem to have quite moved with the times.
No.
Whereas now, a lot of manufacturers offer a sort of mid-range scope, a 624, 525, so it's got the magnification to cover all and every aspect you're probably likely to do in the UK. Choice of modern reticles, either MOA or mill-based, and probably most important, where a lot of the old school scopes didn't have, was the parallax or the low parallax capabilities to come down again. So what customers now want is almost to walk into a shop, pick a scope up that can sit on their 177 air rifle, and they can virtually go and take that off, put it on their 308 and shoot 1,000 yards with it. And that seems to be the way. I think that's probably as much customer driven through versatility of the product. They don't want to go out and buy 3 scopes for 3 different disciplines, and I think that's probably more customer driven than brand. If that makes sense.
No, and it makes complete sense. I say exactly what you mean on that. So at the end of the day, if you can get a scope that does everything, then it's going to be certainly it's going to help you along the way, really. I mean, you talk about obviously the versatility. As I say, we speak about again like 10 years or so ago, like your big brands, your big German brands and whatnot. As I say, I think now for the fact that you can get a scope that's £60 just to stick onto your air rifle and whatnot, it's just going to get you going, so to speak. And then also you can go right up to sort of thousands.
There's many scopes will do anything. I think we get asked, as you'll know yourself, obviously on the many phone calls a day we have, why you need to spend more on optics. That tends to come, I think, sometimes with either low light capability on the hunted side, or perhaps on pure optical quality for the greater distances. Obviously a 5-25 at 50 yards on an air rifle hasn't quite got to deliver. It's got to deliver good optical performance, but not at 1,000 yards in haze, varying light conditions. That's a whole different ball game, and it's just trying to portray to the customers, how and why that money goes in, and why that should maybe decide their decision. You take, years ago, especially from a hunting background, a Schmidt & Bender 6x42, 8x56, fixed power. They were the staple scope because they were simple, optically very good, nothing to break on them, but they didn't offer that versatility, and that kind of, again today, I think has killed the fixed power as a prime seller. I mean, SWFA and some other brands still offer them, but predominantly the fixed power seems to have found its way into target disciplines rather than a day-to-day hunting scope. Only for the reason it doesn't, to most people, offer the flexibility and versatility.
Versatility. No, that's it's very fair. You're making a lot of good points on that one. I mean, as well as the scopes evolving themselves, of course, rifles and shotguns, they've all advanced in technology. I know we don't deal so much with that side, but of course, in order to get the scope on the rifle, you've got your mounts. So various different brands have come around and about a bit and whatnot. So you used to have like your standard like tier ones used to be like the best thing going on the market, so to speak. But obviously now you've got higher brands, quick release brands. I'd certainly quick release mounts have certainly come more into fashion again. Just like tying in with that versatility of using a scope across all three rifles or so.
Absolutely, and I think the biggest thing nowadays, which benefits essentially, I think the shop, the retailer, certainly the customer to a degree. If you go back, probably not much more than 5+ years ago, 6+ years ago, you take it as a retailer like us or any other shop in the UK or worldwide indeed. What they'd physically have to keep in terms of mounts, they would have to keep specialist fitments like CZ and Ruger and Tikka and Seiko. You've then, aside of that, you've then got to keep 1-inch, 30mm, 34mm. So again, if you took that physical outlay for the each and every shop, it was a job to try and keep something for every occasion. And I think the best thing, certainly that we found since I've been here at Optics 6 years, the biggest single improvement I think has been the vast array of Picatinny rail conversions. Of course, the first thing and probably the easiest way to do for any customer now, there isn't much on the market that you cannot get a Picatinny rail conversion for. Put that on, for the price they do it fantastically well, and then you've just got that standard Picatinny fitment across all platforms. And it makes, with the advent going to night vision and digital,
of course,
anything tube mounted obviously falls under the same remit as an optical scope generally, but of course a lot of the night visions that have the built-in or middle mounted clamps, obviously that's where the problem comes. So even with those on a Picatinny rail, it just eases that fitment across the board. 100%. So I think the single biggest thing really, other than quality or brands or price, really has been this advent of the Picatinny rail conversion. I'd have to say since I've been here, certainly.
I say it's interesting you say that. So obviously I've been shooting for the best part of a decade or so, and all I've really known is to have a Picatinny rail. And so it's interesting that you say that. So from what you've just said, you'd say comfortably that Picatinny rails have become more and more common, and therefore an easier solution for rifle shooters.
Massively. I think the trouble is it was seen, going back probably a few years as a tactical style. People perhaps didn't like the look of it. It was reserved for range rifles or military rifles, and the two-piece bases were far more in keeping with a high-grade rifle, and I can see that. But when you offset that against the simplicity of future-proofing yourself on your platform, absolutely no reason not to. So I think, as most guns or a lot of guns now are supplied either with it built in or certainly as an addition. And of course, going back to the rails, obviously what a rail can offer you that it's not so easy to do in the two-piece rings, certainly, apart from the Burris's or one-piece mounts, is MOA. A lot of customers now may want to take that rifle, their 223, which is for Fox in or whatever. They might only go a range day once a year, or they might be blessed with a big enough bit of land to go and have a day's pushing their outfit out. So of course, the benefit of a rail also, you can buy extra 20 MOA variants.
And really.
So where their outfit and their optics may not have that capability, it's quite easy to sort now and put a rail on and gain that versatility.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. It's as I say, from what we've got from this is that there's just a huge amount of versatility now on the market in terms of the scopes, the mounting solutions. So it's all there. Everything should be available to a plethora of different customers.
Pretty much, I think so. I mean, it's not often we get caught without a solution.
Exactly. No, I'll ask you just one final question. I mean, if you were to have any scope from the shop, whether it be day, night vision, thermal, whatever it be, what would it be and why?
Probably, personally, again, from a versatility point of view, if price were no option, not because it's expensive, but if I had to choose one scope, certainly of the scopes that I've been involved in selling or seeing since I've been here at Optics, it's still got to be a Delta Striker really. For, you know, there's no one scope that's kind of hit the market running. You know, the only improvement they made since it's been out is the addition of locking turrets.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
It's the only thing that it was missing. You know, as a singular scope, to parallax down, you know, 10 yards for the air rifle guys, put on a 50 cal to, you know, shoot out 2 mile. It's got anything and everything on it, and it really does, you know, for the people who, you know, 1,600 odd quid still an awful lot of money, but it's not £2,000-3,000 and so yeah, if I had to single out probably a favourite scope for versatility, value for money, it'd have to be the Delta Striker. I think there's many people who couldn't argue with that really.
No, fair enough. Well, Piercy, thank you very much for coming on today.
You're welcome. No worries.
It's been interesting to hear, obviously, how you think the trade's been over the past 500 years you've been in it, so
501.
Oh, right, okay. So yeah, no, again, thank you very much for coming on.
You're welcome, no problem.
Don't forget, guys, obviously to like and subscribe to our channel, obviously on whatever platform you're listening to. I say this has been the third episode, obviously with my guest, Mr. Adrian Pearce, learning about how the trade has changed over the past few decades or so. Hope you enjoyed this one, and we look forward to hearing from you next week. Thank you very much.